Hey lovelies, you're welcome back to Reviews and Recaps. Let's get into today's video. But before we start, please make sure you give this video a thumbs up and make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. And if you're new to the channel, welcome. I do reviews and recaps of reality TV shows and I cover celebrity news on this channel, so make sure you subscribe. Let's get into today's video. So the episode started with the continuation of the mess at the skating ring, okay? So this is where it got interesting. LaToya decided to jump in and start talking to Christina about how she feels like women need to support each other and collaborate. And she feels like this whole thing is weird and that Christina is being fake. I'm like, girl, what are you talking about? So Christina was basically saying that she felt like they were jumping on a bandwagon and she feels like LaToya needed to stay out of it. So you know what? I completely agree with Christina on this. I feel like everyone seems to be seeing Kobe's side but not Christina's side, which is crazy because it's like you are encroaching on someone's existing collaboration. That is out of order. That is out of line. And what is worse is that your friends can't even be a neutral third party and hopefully a peacemaker. Instead, it comes across as your friends are on Kobe's side and not even trying to hear your side. And it's funny because Kobe was the one that was raising her voice. Kobe was the one that was calling names. But then again, I guess tears always works. Like, people that end up being the ones that crying in a situation like that always end up with all the sympathy. So anyways, LaToya and Anthony were leaving the skating ring. And so when they were leaving, it was Kobe and Russell outside. Kobe was crying in the car. Russell was trying to comfort her. Then Anthony walks over there and he's like, I would have gone upside his head when he said Kobe cats. I'm just like, hon, why are you egging the situation on? Anthony is a little B, in my opinion. Why is he egging the situation on? I'm so tired and fed up of his ass. Like, why? What are you doing? Why do you think it is an appropriate time to be like, oh yeah? It doesn't make sense at all. So then Christina went over to the storage locker where she was keeping a lot of her stuff. And so I don't know if you guys remember a previous episode, Chelsea was saying that, asking Christina to help her make something to wear. Chelsea came over and they started having conversations about what happened the other night. So Christina repeated everything that pretty much happened. And Christina was basically saying that she didn't understand how it escalated because all she was trying to say was you can't jump in on an existing collaboration. But instead, it just seemed like everything escalated and Kobe was really upset. So Chelsea was basically like, oh yeah, so you're going to call her? And she was like, no, she's not. I think Chelsea was trying to encourage her to just call her and squash it. And I appreciate someone like Chelsea just being like, do you know what? Let's just all squash it. It's not that deep. But of course, Christina was like, I ain't gonna do it. And to be honest, I understand Christina because if I was in that situation, I don't think I would call. I think I might eventually call because I tend to just be the bigger person just because I like to have peace about things. But I would drag it on before I actually pick up my phone to call, to be completely honest. The next scene started with Anthony trying to have his man's movement team meeting. So we had a couple of men there. They were trying to discuss and plan for the man's movement, right? So he referred to the table as a power table. I'm like, okay, all right. What I don't understand about this whole thing was that everything was just very vague. So anyways, he started talking about he wants to have a march of at least like 500 guys talking about leadership, politics, and he wants them to see how we treat women. I'm like, dude, how do you treat women? You are a disrespectful little ass B. And you have been since day one. So let's not act like you're the one that would teach people how to be treating women. Like, if you're the one teaching people how to treat women, everybody's in trouble. You are a sassy ass ninja. That's what it's given, to be completely honest with you. I honestly don't think anyone has annoyed me this much since Mattel Holt. And I'm just like, I can't stand his ass. He's always stirring the pot. He's always doing too much. I don't understand. Brandon is all of us because Brandon was saying in his confessionals that he didn't even know what the men's movement was all about. I'm like, yep, we're still trying to figure that out. We still don't know. Like, we're still hoping for some clarification, honey. Somebody say something. After the meeting, Russell and Brandon decided to stay behind to kick it, okay? So Russell was basically saying to Brandon in no uncertain words that if he was not saved, he would have broken every bone in freaking Brandon's body. I'm like, wow, that is aggressive, sir. So he goes on to say, like, you know, it's our job to set the example, to lead our family and our wives follow, blah, blah, blah. What I thought was interesting was the fact that Brandon was just nodding his head like he was agreeing. Like, Brandon was giving me, you know, when you're trying to scold a child and the child is just there like, whatever you say. That is what Brandon was given. I appreciate that Brandon did not do anything to escalate it, but to sit there and be sunned whilst you're nodding your head is a bit wild for me. You can let someone talk and listen, but you ain't got to be nodding your head like you're in agreement with what they're saying when you know that you do not like what they're saying. I absolutely feel like Brandon is non-confrontational, which is okay, but sitting and nodding is just wild to me. Did you guys pick up on that? If not, please go back and watch that. He was literally nodding like he was being sunned. So Russell then uses the opportunity to tell Brandon that Brandon and Christina are not invited to Kobe's birthday party. And I'm like, fair enough. Moving on, Brandon and Christina were spending the anniversary of Brandon's dad's death together. And so they started talking about this whole Russell and like Kobe situation. Brandon basically told her what happened, and Christina was basically saying like she wasn't even raising her voice. She was calm the whole time. She was the one that was getting called names by Kobe. Do you know what? I actually feel bad for Christina because I feel like they're trying to make it as she is the problem, when in reality, Kobe should not have jumped in on an existing collaboration. And when you found out they have a collaboration going on, you should not feel entitled for her to bring you in. It is a conversation. If she said no, it should have been done. I don't like when people feel like they are entitled to your life or to something about you. It is not nice. You're not entitled to my bag. You're not. I am an influencer. You're an influencer. You do your thing. Let me do my thing. I have my brand deals. Does not mean that we should be collaborating on brand deals. No. If we go and pitch a brand deal together and we get that brand deal, yes, then that's a collaboration. But if I already have something going on and I already know I'm getting 50 grand from this, but you want to come in and jump in on my 50 grand and want me to give you half, how is that going to work? That's not fair on me because I already had that before you even came in the picture. I feel like everyone needs to put their hats on and think about it. That's like LaToya was so upset when her husband was basically saying that he was the one that put the money down for her wine thing. It's like, why did you have such an issue? But now, in this situation, you can't seem to see it from Christina's perspective. You don't even want to hear Christina's perspective. You've made it and chosen your side. This is one of the issues that I have with like circle friendships. I feel like it always turns sour in the end because someone does something and instead of people holding them accountable or staying out of it and trying to make peace, right? Like it just escalates because someone then backs up another person unjustly. The other person feels slighted. And then now everything goes left. Moving on, Anthony decided to show up to Brandon's studio. Okay, so he showed up with his friend to Brandon's studio. And they started talking about the whole Kobe Cat situation. Anthony starts alluding to the fact that, you know, he's moved on to talk about like sponsorships, to get sponsors, to do all of these things. Bear in mind that him and Brandon were working on the showcase together. But what it sounds like is that they were having meetings without Brandon and moving ahead with doing it without Brandon. And I'm like, that is so off. So then Anthony goes on to say, you know, he started looking at Brandon differently, you know, and it's a trust thing and a loyalty thing. I'm like, what do you want from this guy? I feel like you guys are just picking on him because you guys know he's non-confrontational at this point, because I don't understand it. What has this man done to you that is that deep? I understand Russell being angry at him, right? But I don't understand Anthony inserting himself and LaToya inserting themselves. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Please explain to me how this Anthony Little Sassy as Ninja decides in the confessionals that we are moving on with the showcase with or without Brandon. I'm like, what is your problem, sir? You're acting like someone who has a direct issue with this man. This man has not done anything to you or your wife. He's never been disrespectful towards you or your wife. So what is your issue? Honestly, that did not sit well with me. Among other things, I was just like, honestly, him and Latoya can take several seats. I don't want to see them on the show anymore. Like, what is their problem? If you don't have a mind of your own, get the F off the show. Like, I can't lie. This morning, I'm fed up of these people. I really am. It's exhausting dealing with people like this. It's unprofessional to have something going on with someone to then be having meetings behind their back. It doesn't make any sense when you don't have a direct issue with them. And if you did, right, let's even say you were upset about how everything panned out, then you have a conversation with them before you start having side meetings. You say to them, I have an issue with this. I've decided to do the showcase by myself. Simple. That's what you should have done instead of like escalating this whole thing. And now it's just, the whole thing has just escalated it way beyond what it should be. Anyways, it was finally the day of the surprise party for Colby. Now, of course, Colby sort of knew that something was happening, but she didn't know exactly what. Russell decided to throw the party for her. I think the party looked really nice. The decor was nice. It also looked like well catered for, which I was like, all right, Russell, well done. I'm sure you had help, but well done nonetheless. So at the party now, Colby and Latoya decided to have a sidebar conversation. Latoya starts stirring the pot and is like, oh, has she called you? And Colby was like, no, she hasn't. And so Colby starts talking about the fact that, well, they're both influencers and whatnot, and their style is so different. And did you see how Owen brought up the pictures? It looks very similar, even the poses, honey, Christina. Yeah, I see what you're saying, girl. I see what you're saying. Now, you can get inspo from people. You really can. That is life, right? But at the same time, when you're so close to somebody and then it seems like you're doing every single thing that they're doing, it looks odd. It is giving copycat. Let's be honest. It is what it is. Kobe basically said she feels like Christina has a spirit of manipulation. I'm like, girl, you have a spirit of manipulation, in my opinion, because why are you out here crying all the time like it is a thing? Why aren't you even letting her speak, right? Let her speak, then you say what you have to say. It's giving spirit of manipulation. And Latoya kept stirring the pot. Then Latoya basically told Russell and Colby that Anthony is currently having a conversation with Brandon and Christina. In my opinion, if Anthony is really y'all's friend, why is he going to go and have a sidebar conversation with Christina and Brandon instead of being at his good person's birthday? It doesn't make any sense. Like, he's all up in people's business and he needs to take it down a few notches, honey. Take it down. So finally, Anthony had a sit down with Brandon and Christina. So Anthony basically was saying he just wants there to be peace between everyone. I'm like, if you wanted peace, you would stop attacking one couple over the other and instead have peace. But instead, you're constantly coming at it like these people have done, like, so horribly. Don't get me wrong. Like I said in my previous episode, I felt like Brandon was out of line and he was stirring the pot, and that is unacceptable. But Russell has addressed Brandon. So what is the issue? Like, why do you keep dragging it out? So anyways, Christina basically said that Brandon was wrong for the name calling, and I completely agree, right? But either way, so was Colby. Colby was the one calling Stina names and no one picked up on that. He called her selfish. He called her one other thing that I can't remember this second. But everyone is upset for Colby, but no one is upset for Christina because Christina was not crying. Christina, girl, maybe next time all you got to do is cry, because I don't understand why everyone seems to have sympathy for the one crying, but they don't have nothing for you. Also, I think that Latoya does not like you because of that wine event. She felt like you ruined her event and she's holding a grudge. That's what I think it is. So Christina was basically saying, like, I feel like Latoya has an issue with me because I wasn't the one calling nobody names, but I was the one that Latoya was coming at calling me weird and fake. And then she's like, is there something that Latoya wants to say? Like, does she have an issue with me? And then, of course, Anthony is trying to clear it up and be like, oh, no, there's no issue. You know, we just don't like how you move. And then Anthony was talking about the fact that he felt like they did some snake-ish. I'm like, what snake-ish? You're making this into more than it is. Brandon said what he had to say. Kobe said what she had to say. Christina said a little bit and couldn't even get a word in because Kobe kept talking over her. So, like, yeah. So then Christina basically said, I feel like you guys are jumping on the bandwagon. And I think that is correct. I love how she called it out. And then that aggravated Anthony because he was like, no, we're not jumping on the bandwagon. We're just not cool with people snaking other people. I'm like, honey, what's snaking? Like, you guys are so heavily up Russell and Kobe's butts, you guys don't even realize. Like, what is going on with you all there? Honestly, if this episode was meant to annoy, it definitely annoyed me. But let me know what you guys thought about this episode in the comment section below. Give this video a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. And tap that bell for notifications so you know every single time that I post. And I will see you guys later. Bye.